Well, good afternoon once again, and thanks for joining us here for the Market Day Report. Moving on through this morning, of course, now Ohio Congressman Bob Latta is on the scene and joins us for an update, joining us from Washington. Do we have him on the line now? Congressman Latta, can you? There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Little technical challenges here this morning. So give us a little background on the event that's been taking place addressing some of these issues.
Well, with the grid innovation, if that's what you're referring to, is something that the Republican Conference and the Energy and Commerce has put together. We want to bring together individuals and companies and innovators from around the country to show what they can do. And it's very important because, again, it highlights what we're working on here in Washington. And it's important for us to see what's happening out in the communities, because one of the things I've always said about the Energy and Commerce Committee, because we have very broad-reaching jurisdiction from telecommunications to energy to healthcare to digital commerce to the environment, that I always say this, is that we are looking over the horizon by 5 to 10 years, because the folks that we're dealing with, that we have before us in committee, aren't looking in the rearview mirror. They're looking into the future, and we have to make sure that we have the legislation on the books that will help them to innovate.
Speak specifically to the need for getting internet, broadband access, high-speed access into these rural landscapes.
Well, you're talking about what we've been working on, because I'm one of the co-chairs of the Rural Broadband Caucus, and it's important because when the maps came out from the Federal Communications Commission a year or so back, members could look at those maps and say, you know what, these are not accurate. We have to have accurate maps because, again, we have a lot of unserved areas across this country. Not just, sometimes people get the words unserved and underserved commingled, but it's important that we look at the unserved areas, because when I look at my area of the 5th District in West Central Ohio, I can tell you the areas that do not have broadband, and it puts them behind. From the kids that, they issue in a lot of schools now a laptop where they can't do their homework at home. It hurts them. It hurts the small businesses out there that can't get out there and get their ideas onto the internet or their products. The other area, of course, is on the precision agriculture side, and that was legislation I worked with to get into the past farm bill. And again, we want to make sure that everyone has the same opportunities across this country, because if you don't have it, you're already behind.
Congressman, I have to say that we've talked a lot about broadband over the last year or two. Do you feel like there is enough support in Congress to actually move the needle and get this established across the countryside?
Well, I think so, because when you look at the FCC with 5 commissioners, this past year I had Commissioners Carr and O'Reilly in my district on 2 separate occasions. And in both instances, they were looking at broadband out in rural areas across America. And again, I think it's a priority at the FCC, but we have to get this over the finish line so that all Americans are on equal footing.
All right, Congressman, thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insight. Ohio Congressman Bob Latta on the phone with us today from Washington, D.C.